Hey guys, welcome to an episode of the Sexy Mystics. It has been a while and we are so excited to be back. Jess and I both have been on a journey these last few months and we have so much to come back to and share with you guys. We are ascension mentors and we are here to help raise the vibration of the planet, and we're starting with ourselves first. So tonight's episode, we're going to talk all about twin flames. So I'm going to give it to Jess for a minute and let her say what she wants to, and then we'll go from there.
Hi. It's been such a while, and to Jen's point, we have been on a journey, and we felt the space and the allowance to kind of step back and go into our own self-development, our own paths and journeys individually, and yet also understanding it's a collective, that what one does for all. And it has been such a beautiful shift and transitions in so many ways for both Jen and I, that we would never have predicted where we're sitting right now in a way. Like at our last episode, we certainly weren't thinking that we would be moving to different states and to being in the different places that we're in our lives. And that's the beauty and joy of the mystery and of trusting in a greater plan than we can see, and tapping in and tuning into that and honoring ourselves over and over and over again and saying yes. So I know for myself, I've faced a lot of shadows, a lot of things about myself that I hadn't really been willing to acknowledge, that I kind of kept in the back closet, through several closets. And so to come to a place of allowing them to come forth, allowing them to be seen, to be felt, to be heard, to be acknowledged, to be nearly completely accepted and loved, has been a tremendous act of surrender and love for myself. So that's where I wanted to share. I'm super excited. I really want this episode to really be centered around what Jen has come through and what she has developed, because her transformation and her acceleration has been so mind-blowing for me. I've known Jen for years and very, very deeply for the last few years, and to see such a marked transition in difference and radiance of spirit, of soul, of heart, of mind, of body, really in all elements of who she is, that it inspired me to say, like, hey, let's do another Sexy Mystics. It's been a little while, because I really, really want to honor Jen's path. And I know that what she has to share will absolutely change anyone's life that has the eyes to see and the ears to hear and the hearts to feel and be willing to take the leap. So I am opening it up to you, my love.
My love. Blessings. So yeah, this journey is the ultimate alchemical journey, and it takes you from the lowest of the low to the highest of the high. And I feel like I have gone on that journey in a very short period of time, and what is required is complete and total surrender. So that is, I think our last episode we shot in August, and both Jess and I were kind of like unsure about what was next. And in that time, my grandfather passed away, who was like one of my most favorite people in the world. He's very, very close to me. Jess and I have both moved. I moved from Colorado to Salt Lake City. Jess is now in LA. We have gone through a lot. And one of the things that has been a huge transformation for me is this whole discovery of twin flames. I was first introduced to it July the 18th of this year. Someone said to me, one of my healers said, I think that you're in a twin flame situation with a gentleman that you're playing out some roles with. And I was like, a what? And she said, yeah, it's a twin flame. She's like, do your own research and figure it out yourself, because only you can know. It's a higher self soul journey sort of a thing. And so it's basically your journey of the soul. So if you don't know what a twin flame is, let me explain that for you really quick. A twin flame, there's a lot of different ideas on what a twin flame is. Some people say it's the other half of your soul, that your soul literally splits into two whenever you come into this incarnation and you're living in two separate bodies, two separate souls with the same soul resonance. I like to believe that we are still one soul with the same soul resonance in two different bodies that are polar opposites of one another. They're on the total opposite end of the frequency. So when you have whatever belief you want to have, whether you think you're the same soul split into two, or you're one soul and you're the same soul resonance, just the opposite end of frequency, it is the ultimate soulmate, obviously, because you are the same soul. So it's the ultimate soulmate. And so you can have the beautiful, blissful soulmate experience with this person. But there's a caveat, and the caveat is spiritual growth and falling absolutely madly in love with yourself. And so it's really interesting because I made a commitment this year to really embrace self-love. And I didn't know what that meant. You always think you have it, and life is still showing up for you, and it's not looking like you have it. So you're going through these things, these emotions, and seeing the issues and seeing the reflect back to you that you still haven't achieved self-love. And so I'd made this commitment this year. And I had gotten to a place in June where I was like, all right, like it's all or nothing. Like I am going to accept myself, because I was always self-critical, always beating myself up, always like coming down on myself. And I finally said, I've got to stop. Like this stops now. It stops today. And I made that commitment to fall in love with myself. And about a week and a half, 2 weeks later, my twin flame shows up in my life after a year and a half of complete absence. And we had not seen, spoken, nothing, because, we had this history and I just couldn't handle it emotionally. And so I just put a barrier between us because it was just too much for me emotionally. And so he comes back in, we have this amazing time, and then he disappears again. And why does he disappear? He's disappearing because now I get to look in the mirror, and then I get to really do the self-love work, because the twin flame journey is all about unconditional self-love, so that you can have unconditional love for your soulmate partner. And the only way that you can ever have unconditional love for your soulmate partner is if you find it within yourself first. So the whole journey this year has been about that. And I fought the twin flame idea for about 4.5 months, 5 months or so. I fought it. I resisted it. I was like, I'm not doing this journey. This journey is stupid. I think it's full of shit. I think that these people who are talking about twin flames don't know what they're talking about. I was kicking and screaming whenever it came to this journey. And I was reading stuff, and then I would stop. I'd be like, this is so dumb. I'm not watching another video about this. This is tearing me apart. This guy just needs to go. He needs to get out of my life because I can't handle it emotionally. And that was my attitude for a very long time. And then on 11/11, first of all, on the 10th of November, I was invited to a webinar about twin flames. And I was like, oh, you know what? I'll go, but I'm not buying this. I'm not on this twin flame journey. I'm off. I'm like jumping off the train. This is not for me, but I'll go just because they're doing a DNA activation. So on 11/11, I get on this webinar, and I guess I was ready because I go through this DNA activation, and I'm sobbing. Like I cannot stop crying, and I'm like crying from my soul. I'm crying from my depths, and I'm just releasing like probably lifetimes of sorrow and hurt and pain. And I activated on that day, and I activated this twin flame within myself, and that's what changed for me. And then within 24 hours, I had a new healer that had come in to like then help me raise my frequency, because this is all about a frequency journey. So it's really about raising your vibration to love or above. So we'll get into frequency and vibration here in a second, but I want to hand it back over to Jess because I just have been talking for a while. So
but it's all about you, girl. Like
I know. Do you have any questions or like?
So bearing witness to Jen and her journey, especially with this particular gentleman, it's so interesting the paradigm shifts that can happen when
Yeah.
it's like, oh, this person's meant to bring up my deepest core wounds in my life.
Yeah.
And so it was just interesting because um, when she was sharing with me about her shift, it reminded me of someone that has been the peripheral of my life for years. And whenever I'm around him, he brings up my deepest core wound of self-worth. Like I just don't feel worthy every time. And it's so fascinating to me because it's that's me. That's my interpretation, right? That's my wound. And but he brings it up for me so strongly. And so then like after Jen kind of shared about the core wound thing and me understanding its self-worth, oh man, did life suddenly just show up for that over and over and over again for me, like crashing waves of self-worth. And how other people are showing up in my life and reflecting that, and how I'm bringing that to me to like see. And I truly believe that what is revealed is ready to be healed. I truly believe that. And I also truly believe that um, everything that's come to me is a gift I've given to myself. And that I am strong enough to handle anything that comes through. My higher self knows that. My ego mind might be like, there's no way I can handle this, there's no way I can make through this. But my soul and my higher self chose this vessel to be in because it knew that I would be able to carry out what it is. So it's just interesting because there's a lot of things that have come up for me that I'm like, how am I going to make it through this? Like, this is just so deep and so much, and it's so like confronting. And just to understand that our souls know,
Mm-hmm.
our selves understand, and we really are given what we can handle. And it's all part of the divine plan. It's all part of our soul's path and plan is to work through these things. So I'm feeling a shift in the self-worth, but it really I'm grateful to Jen because it was in her own activation and in her own transformation that it kind of unlocked my deepest wound as well. And then being like, oh, okay. And also understanding, I don't know, Jen, if this is coming up for you, but for me, I've been learning a lot too about there's certain parts of me, they're never going to go away. You know, like there's these certain things that I've been told are in my astrological chart or just part of who I am, and I've like wanted to change them or fix them or destroy them or ignore them or blame them and shame them and neglect them and you know have such judgment and criticism and then like seeing it in others and you know and to it's almost like coming to a place where it's like where you do have to let go. Can I let go? Can I let go and just say this is a part of who I am and can I love it?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of keep fighting it or changing it or you know all those other things. So this is really deep stuff. This is really deep work, and it takes such commitment to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a shift. And I don't want to. I mean, I'll speak on behalf of you, and if you disagree, just let me know. But I feel like we're on the same page. That you know, so much of my life, I felt like I've needed a man to have everything that I wanted in my life, and I'm at this place now where it's like, no, I have to love myself, and this whole experience, I feel like for Jen and for myself with like twin flames and whatever it is that we're doing, it's not doing it in order to. We're not
Oh,
doing it in order to get because I mean, and I will say for sure in my life, I have absolutely done many things where I'm like, oh, okay, if I do this, then I'll get this, and and it's like this ulterior motive, and I feel like the ulterior motive in this is really loving yourself. It's just like there's you can't fake loving yourself. You can't. And I think Jen, I think you have something about that about like thinking you've finished your self love and then like something else showed up, right?
comes up. Yeah. There's so much in what you just said. Um, So the twin flame journey, let me just talk about relationships in general. So there's basically three types of relationships. There's a karmic relationship. The karmic relationship is the person that comes into your life that does stir things up and helps you to heal, but it doesn't stir your core wounds. It stirs wounds and it helps you unravel and take off some layers. So I was in a 6-year karmic relationship, and my core wounds were not triggered by this person I was in a 6-year relationship with. It was only this twin flame coming in that triggered my core wounds, my core insecurities. Mm-hmm. So the karmic relationship is like that. It's usually very volatile. It's usually not healthy, to be honest. And yet there's a draw there. There's an attraction and a draw there that is hard to let go of. And it's one of those things where you get into it, and then it's one of those things where you can't stop it from falling apart either. It's going to fizzle out and it's going to fall apart. You may want to hang on to it, but it's going to fall apart and you need to let it go. Then you have your soulmate connections. Your soulmate connections are beautiful relationships where you really, really resonate on many, many different levels. And you did come in here as a soul partner to be of help and value to one another. And they are usually very smooth relationships. They're very fulfilling relationships. They are amazing relationships, and they are what most people are looking for in a relationship. It's that smooth, that amazing, that like love, that deep love that you know that you both have for one another. And then you have the twin flame relationship. And the twin flame relationship is, in the beginning, kind of looks karmic, because you have these core wound triggers. So my core wound was, I'm not enough, I'm not wanted, I'm not chosen, and there's no way he would ever love me. And he would always love someone else. So those were my core triggered wounds, and those come from childhood usually, and some past life stuff. And so my core triggered wounds were triggered by this person that came into my life. I mean, at the deepest levels. And I would lash out. I didn't know how to handle it. It's obsessive thoughts. It was overwhelming. I just wanted it to go away. I'm like, I can't feel this. I don't want to feel this. It's too much for me. All of these things came up for me. However, the journey of the twin flame is, once you come, okay, and here's the thing that I was really confused about with the twin flame journey. I thought both people had to be doing the same level of work to reach ascension in order to be in union, and that's not the case. As Jess said, whenever we were opening up, when one heals, it heals for the collective. So we are all connected on the quantum field anyway. We're all connected through the heart, through heartstrings, each and every one of us. And so your twin flame in you, though, you're connected at an even deeper level. So you're connected not only at the heart, but at other chakra spaces. Like my chakra space, connection to my twin is in my solar plexus. So you're connected, plus you're the same exact soul resonance. So your vibration is the same. And so you're connected all the time on the quantum level, and you can telepathically communicate with one another. And those gifts were activated in me when I saw my twin in June, and I didn't realize it. I didn't know what was happening. Like all these gifts, like these like psychic gifts and telepathic gifts were activated, and I was like, what is going on? I've never been able to do this before. Like, this is crazy. I don't know what's happening. But this is what happens whenever you come into union with your twin flame. And so when you work through when one of you, so there's always a twin that seems to be the awakened twin, and there's always a twin in the matrix. And so there's a tendency for the awakened twin to judge the matrix twin. That was my problem. I was judging my matrix twin because I didn't feel like he was doing the inner work that I was doing. And so I was judging him. But here's the thing you have to remember. Your matrix twin is more awake than you realize. And he's just waiting for, it's usually he that's in the matrix. And here's why: because of the divine masculine and divine feminine have to come into balance. And so it's usually the feminine energy that has a tendency to be more contemplative, that has a tendency to want to chase. And it's usually the masculine energy that's more out wandering and wanting to explore and wanting to run or whatever. So you have this runner chaser dynamic usually, if you're not both ascended to a spiritual level to be able to handle the connection. And so when you go into this runner chaser dynamic, it's usually the feminine energy that is the chaser, because that's the tendency of the feminine energy anyway. So usually it's the feminine energy judging the masculine energy for not being awake and not showing up and not being man enough, to like take over the role or whatever. And this is all, okay, so all of those beliefs are all third dimensional, patriarchal, old bullshit patterns and beliefs. Our relationship structures are changing, and they're changing for the better, but they don't look like the old. All of those quotes around the man that shows up for you is the man, this is how he shows up, that's all bullshit now. Like, it's not that way. We're changing the parameters, we're changing the paradigm, and the twin flame connection is the catalyst for changing these paradigms. And so when you run into your twin flame and you begin to do the ascension work and you come to unconditional self-love for yourself, and then you begin to send your twin flame love, and all you see is love. It doesn't matter what that person is doing. It doesn't matter if they're in a relationship or not with someone else. It doesn't matter if they're drugs. It doesn't matter if they're gambling. It doesn't matter what they're doing. If you are showing that person unconditional love all the time, and all you're doing is sending that person love. Like, I'm not in contact with my twin right now. All I'm doing is sending him love every single time I think of him. And I'm not judging him. I've taken the judgment out. And I'm just like sending him energies of love constantly. Every time I think of him, every time I see his name to some degree, every time I see there's certain numbers that remind me of him, I'm always sending him love. Here's what happens though. Whenever the one ascends, the other one comes into alignment with that ascension. And then if you decide to be together as a couple, then you have the most beautiful, blissful relationship. It's like soulmates on steroids when you decide that this is what you want and you want to pursue a relationship with your twin flame. But the whole thing is that you have to come into wholeness within yourself as you can't be codependent. You can't be like, you can't have these lower vibrational energies going on anymore. You must raise your frequency to love or above, and you must operate from a space of love, a space of joy. The whole purpose of the twin flame journey, the reason why so many twin flames are incarnating right now together at the same time, is because the journey is about raising the frequency of themselves and thus raising the frequency of the planet. And so more and more of them are incarnating. This is why we're seeing like an uprising of people searching, what is this twin flame thing? Like, I don't know what this is with this person, And so anyway, the purpose of it. So one of the things that I say about this is that union is not the goal, but it is the gift. So it's really a gift when you can come into union with your twin flame, because it is a relationship like no other. It just takes a lot of work to get there on one or both of the parties in order to make it work, because at first it seems like there's no possible way. And that's where I was. I had lost all faith. I'm like, there's no way this is ever going to work. And then you get into it and you like start to surrender to it. And it's like, holy cow, like I'm so grateful for this journey. And I'm so grateful for what I've experienced and the healers that have been set my way. And like to see just in the last few weeks of doing the DNA activations and submitting to the raising of my frequency and submitting to love on a daily basis, what that has done to me internally, it's literally changing my cellular structure every single day. And that's the journey. That's the key to the journey right there.
And Jen has been on such a path of self-healing, of self-development, of personal development, of health, like for a long, long time, for
Yeah.
many years. So it's interesting to me that it's like almost the most important, more than any of that, is raising the energy and
Yeah.
vibration. And I do believe that all of that was necessary for you to be able to raise your vibration.
Yeah. When I
Um,
think back, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
no, but go ahead.
Well, when I think back over the path that I took, um, of raising the vibration, raising the energy, because so there's a book that I always refer to, and I always teach from this book. It's called Power versus Force. It's from David Hawkins. David Hawkins has in that book, and you can also Google Map of Consciousness. Okay, the Map of Consciousness is an emotional scale, and he is calibrated using kinesiology. He has calibrated certain emotions, and the scale is like, it's a vertical scale. So you don't have to start here, but the bottom of the scale is 20, and it's shame. And then it moves up to guilt, and then it moves up to, I forget what's next, maybe anger. But you move up the scale, and then you get to a place called neutrality. And then from neutrality, you start to work into like the higher vibrational energies of love and joy and bliss and enlightenment eventually. Okay, so when I first started this journey 5 years ago, I left my marriage and I started to really invest in my personal development. And at that time, I was at the lowest place on that scale. I was at 20. I was vibrating at shame and guilt on a consistent level. So this is why life wasn't working for me, and I was trying so hard, like I was in a struggle. Like if you have ever experienced that feeling of being in a wash machine or a dryer or something like that, where you're just tumbling and you're just struggling and you're like trying so hard to get out of this financial position, trying so hard to have this beautiful relationship, trying so hard to whatever it is that you're trying so hard to do, and life is a freaking struggle, and you get so frustrated, and yet your vibration is what's creating your thoughts, is creating your reality. We're always creating our own reality. And so it's hard to see that at that time, because you're like, no, but I'm doing all this work. Like I should be creating a different reality. I'm investing all the time in my personal development. I'm going to these seminars. I'm getting these coaches. I'm doing all this stuff. And yet it's not about doing, it's about being. And so when we start to surrender to the beingness, and whenever we start to dive into like, what's the shame and guilt about? Why do I have the shame and guilt? Like, how do I transform those emotions and those energies into something higher? And if you ever listen to Abraham Hicks, she talks about that. She's like, oh, well, if you're working up the emotional scale and you're starting to experience anger, then you're from shame, then you're actually doing good. Like allow yourself to experience and express the anger, and then move up the emotional scale some more and some more and some more. And so when you think back over the path of where you come from, you celebrate all of these moments. One of the things I never did as a kid was celebrate. We never really celebrated anything. We never celebrated birthdays, really. We never celebrated, like Christmas was never fun. Vacations were never fun. It was just like nothing was ever celebrated. And so you get used to not celebrating. And so what I'm incorporating into my life now is just celebrating the moment, celebrating like all of this awareness and this growth, and just really treasuring this whole entire journey for what it's been and what it's meant to me. So sorry, Jess, go ahead.
That's beautiful. Yeah, and it's a reflection. And I'm celebrating you, so this is great. A couple of things that you said that I wanted to just touch on. When you were mentioning sending love to someone, one of the techniques that we've learned that is helpful, because you can send love from your heart. And if your heart is clogged up, if it's got some smog in there, some dirt, some things that it's going to, it's not going to be as pure as you desire. And so one of the things that we've learned is if you picture a diamond, and having the diamond being in front of your heart, and then when you're sending out the love energy through that diamond, the diamond purifies it. There's a diamond energy that you can send to anybody, anywhere, at any time, and that's of the divine. So with that, you're able to send it without the attachment.
Yeah.
you know, because it is very hard, you know, to send love without attachment to somebody that you're meant to be with, but you're not there yet, you know. So it's an interesting it's a fine line to walk. So I just wanted to offer that um, envisioning the diamond energy and sending that out to whomever you want. That is pure, that is divine love, and that is like a true blessing to send.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's a great idea and a great metaphor to use to really also crack open your heart. This whole journey is about opening your heart space, opening your heart chakra, and sending love without attachment is unconditional love. You know, so that's really what we're being called to go to. And if you're on a twin flame journey, you're on a high calling and you have a specific mission here on earth. And so it's a beautiful thing. And so when you can surrender into it and be so grateful for it, wow, it's like everything just starts to open up for you.
Yeah, and getting to that core wound. And one of the things that that Jen can answer to, because there was this episode, this moment I had when I was in Ecuador, and I was like, I am done with this person. Like, and I'm in my whole side of stories for several months about all of it, but I learned how we had multiple past lives together, and it was power over, power under, and I was like, I'm fucking done with this. There's no way I'm going to live this life going through that again. Like I've had it. I want a man that's going to step up to the line, that's going to do it, is going to be here with me. And then, like, I just saw myself just like eviscerate this guy. And then I like worked with a healer, and I was like, I want all the cords cut. I don't want this person in my life anymore. I want to be completely done. I like basically just wiped him out of my life in every way, because I was like, I don't want this energy. I don't want this in my life. So Jen, share with us what the reality is with twin flames and cutting cords.
Oh yeah, you can't do that. It's impossible. So when like I think almost every twin, if you're truly a twin flame, you go through that as the awakened twin. You go through this period. I went through the exact same thing. I was like, I don't want this. I'm so like pissed off. Like this journey is stupid. Whoever made up twin flames is an idiot. Like I don't want to watch another video. I'm not reading another blog. I don't care. I don't want this guy in my life. It's too much emotion. I can't handle it. He's just not that into me. You watch that movie, he's not that into you. You read all these blogs and these magazine articles. You read all these like posts on Instagram about how a man should show up if he's interested in you. And you're thinking, well, he's not showing up like this. So I'm done with this. This is so stupid. Like I deserve better. I deserve that king that's going to just like show up on his horse and like rescue me from whatever it is I think I need to be rescued from. Whatever it is, like these fantasy fairy tale bullshit things that these cartoons put into our heads when we were little girls of how it should be. Life never is how it should be or how we think it should be. It's vastly different because we're not here to be perfect. We're here to like evolve. We're here to grow. We are spirits having a human experience. And so this whole entire journey is really for that. It's like to dig all that stuff out. It's to say, look at your divinity. Look at how divine you really are and honor that. That's what the journey is about. And so the twin flame shows up because it's your counterpart. Okay? It's your basically polar opposite frequency, and you're the same soul resonance. This is why you have the connection. And so you're the same soul resonance, and there are chords, there are etherical chords, okay? And if you don't know anything about etherical chords, anybody you've ever had sex with, anybody that you have ever had like a really like intimate connection to, you have etherical chords to. Soulmates, you have etherical chords to. Family, you have etherical chords to. You have all these chords, okay? And so it's good to go through the practice of pulling back your cords, cutting cords with people that you don't need to be in communication with anymore, or they're gone and done. And then, if you have an interaction with somebody that's, like not a nice interaction, there's usually an etherical cord there that you need to cut and pull back to yourself and to honor yourself in that. And so you have all of these etherical cords, and then you have the etherical cords to your twin flame. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know, you can't cut them. It is literally impossible to cut them. I have tried over the years because I didn't know I was in a twin flame situation, but it's so triggering when your twin flame comes into your life and you haven't healed your stuff and you're still in those low vibrational energies. It's so incredibly triggering. Like, it makes you feel like you're this big, like you're not worth anything, and you just want that person to go away because it's reminding you, and it's the ultimate mirror. So it's reminding you and reflecting to you all of the shitty stuff that you hate about yourself and that you haven't accepted about yourself. And so when this person comes in and you haven't healed those things, you're like, I want them to go away. And yet at the same time, you're like, but I want them so close. It's like the hardest thing, because you're like, oh my gosh, like I just want him close. And at the same time, you're like, I want him to go away. And so anyway, over the years, I've put distance between me and this person because I couldn't handle it emotionally. And so I tried to cut the cords, and the cords never got cut. So, and I've had many energy healers come in and they're like, yeah, you still got cords. Like they're not going away. So, and I've had energy healers read our energy together. They're like, what? Like, have this one energy healer that read our energy together. And she was like, I have literally never seen this beautiful of energy collectively between two people before. She's like, wow. So it was like, oh my gosh. So yeah, so when you really come together, it is a beautiful connection and a beautiful energy. But yeah, there's no cutting cords.
There's no cutting cords. And one of the things that you had mentioned, Jen, is about different relationships, about being in a different relationship, how the multidimensional places that we're moving into relationships are different from anything that we've seen literally in history. So everything that we've ever known about what a relationship is supposed to look like is not what is going to become in the new higher vibration. And that has been such a really big challenge for me to understand. And to grasp and to accept, because I'm like, but wait, I do want that knight on that king on the horse because it takes me away. Like, why not? What we're being taught is sovereignty. Mm-hmm. So being sovereign of each one of ourselves, and sovereign looks like being completely self-responsible for everything in your life.
Yeah.
To be in full acceptance of it, to be in full responsibility of it, to own it completely. And I had some notes about what sovereignty is, but it's really it's about owning who you are through and through, and that no one's to blame, and you're not the victim of anything, that you've brought everything to yourself. Everything has been a gift to you, and to own that. And so I've had a lot of still working through it, like I feel like it's been done to me, or I feel like I've been lucky and that it could go away. So then that causes a sense of like unnecessary attachment. And, so I've been really working through some deep stuff that I know goes far deeper than just this life. Like this is like thousands of years. And I was on a journey last week working with a powerful healer, and we went back to the origin of my core wound, and it was back in Atlantean times. That's like 10,000 years. I don't know. Let's say at least 3,000 years ago, at least that. And I was a divine being, and then after that, I was split into the twin flames, and I've been longing for it ever since. I've been separated from it ever since. So to to also recognize that it's that feeling of the separation and that longing, like, that seeking that deepness, to like go into it and love ourselves, you know, to heal ourselves. That's where I'm at. But sovereignty, being a sovereign being, that is something that I'm really stepping into more and more. And I do believe that that is a requirement of the new earth, of as we transcend and ascend, that it's not everything that's happening around us is no one else's fault. It is our creation, and we are to take responsibility for our creation that we've made.
Yeah, a couple of things. So whenever you were talking about how your soul split at that lifetime, and then you've had that longing in this
Mm-hmm.
lifetime, it's like something missing. There's something I need. That's usually a sign that you do have a twin flame on the planet. So maybe you haven't met your twin flame. But if you have like that longing, then there's usually the soul resonance that's out there that's coming to you that will help to fill that longing. Now, I want to say something about that. Here's where it's different than someone showing up on your doorstep to fulfill you. Your fulfillment is your responsibility. It's not your twin flame's responsibility. So it's interesting how the culture has shifted over the years to come to this place where, so before, women had to be in relationships because they had no other way of supporting themselves and supporting their children. So they were, we are the child bearers, the children come through us. And so because we were in such a patriarchal society, we were at the mercy of men for a very, very long time. And we had to be married in order to survive. And that's the way that it was for a very long time. And the culture has shifted over the years. And it's been resisted. The cultural shifts have been resisted as it being like too loose, going away from religion and all of that stuff. However, the cultural shift has set us up to this next level of consciousness, the age of Aquarius coming in. So we're now in this place where women are fully capable of supporting themselves. We are not only fully capable of supporting ourselves, but we're fully capable of becoming mothers without men. We are fully capable of being mothers that are single and that thrive. We are fully capable of doing it on our own. However, that's also not really the ideal situation. You really want to partner with someone on mission. So anyway, the whole idea of this transformation and the way that relationships and paradigms are being set up is that you have the two sovereign beings, like Jess said. You have two whole beings, two whole people who know who they are, who love themselves unconditionally, who can love each other unconditionally, who can drop the judgment, who can drop the petty bullshit, the immature stuff, who have recognized the core wounds of childhood, and who are ready to serve the planet. Because chances are, if you are here as a twin flame, you came here with a mission, and you came here with a mission to serve the planet on a higher level. Because if you came here as a twin flame and you incarnated at the same time as your twin flame, you have incarnated with a higher level of knowing. So even if your twin flame right now is showing up as someone who you think isn't as awake as you are, that person, I can guarantee you, has just as much awareness in spirituality and in the higher consciousness and the higher realms as you do. So you're the same soul, the same soul resonance. You both have lived many lifetimes. You both have come here and experienced many, many things. And both of you have probably incarnated into very difficult circumstances into this lifetime with which to overcome and succeed through. So you're both here for this ascension work. And whether you like it or not, that's what the planet is going to. Our planet is moving to a teaching planet. We are moving to an enlightened planet. We are moving to total Christ consciousness. And so in doing that, we have to come, there are beings being sent here right now, Jess and I being two of them, who are here for that ascension process. And we incarnated into situations that we've had to overcome. We've had to have a lot of bravery like I have to have a ton of bravery to talk about this because this is complete antithesis to how I was raised religiously. So we've had to overcome those things. We've had to overcome a lot of different things. And now, we've had this like spiritual awareness and awakening and growth to now go back and say, okay, this is how you do it. This is how you raise your frequency, because it really does boil down to our frequency. That is what is going to be required of everyone in order to sustain themselves on the planet, is to raise your frequency to a level of love or above, and to really just to like be in that joy and be in that celebration of life, and to be that whole sovereign being. That is what we are moving to and what we're asking for as a collective. And so that's the whole reason for this twin flame journey and why we're all incarnating at the same time.
So awesome. I love our conversations because I feel like they're jam-packed with so much because we are doing so much, like internally, externally. I made a list of just different questions as you've been talking. Hold on, I just need to check in for a second. So in the meantime, what would you say are 1, 2, or 3 different ways that people can focus on raising their vibration that you have found in your studies and in your practices to be the most effective?
So I actually started with Prove It, which is a ketone supplement. I know it sounds like crazy. Jess and I both take this supplement, and we can link. Jess, you can put your link because you're under me, but you can put your link in and people can order from you. But I started out with Prove It. Prove It is a ketone supplement, puts your body into ketosis. What I have found from that, it's not about weight loss. Like everybody wants to talk about weight loss because people lose weight on it, but it's not weight loss. I even did an ayahuasca journey around Prove It to get an idea of like, what is this really? And I was told that it is raising people's frequencies and vibration. So for me, what it did was I was so low when I started on it. I started on it a year and a half ago. So I was still vibrating at shame and guilt. And despite all the work that I had done up to that point. Okay. I mean, we're talking, I invested at that point probably $100,000 in myself, and I was still vibrating at shame and guilt because there were some other things that I was missing, some key pieces. So I'm going to save you hundreds of thousands of dollars with these tips. Okay. So the Prove It was what started bringing my energy levels up. So I had no energy before, I had no clarity, I had no focus, and I was just at the lowest of the low. So I started taking that product, and then it started to bring me up, okay? And then I started to go through the process of working with my energy, okay? So what you have to start to do is clear your energy. So next year, as I'm working with somebody right now that's teaching me how to do this. So in order for you to do this, you have to, like in order for you to do it on other people, you have to have your energy body completely clear. So you have to clear your energy, work with energy healers to clear that out. And Jess and I have a list of people that we've worked with over the last year, several different people that do this work on the planet right now. There is a call and a need for more. So, if you want to find out who we have worked with, we are more than happy to share those people with you, and they would be more than happy to work with you and help you just start to clear your Akashic records, clear your lines from generations past. Because here's the thing, the generations go from generation to generation and generation, and it's passed down. So if you have in past lives made a vow of poverty or a vow of chastity, if you have a lineage of, a lot of different things happening, it's passing down through your DNA, and you're picking it up and you're coming into this lifetime with it. So you have to start to clear those things. And there's people on the planet that are able to do that. So Jess and I both have been doing that work as well. And then when you start to do that work and you start to clear out that, then you can begin to do the DNA activation and the frequency activation, and then you're like working on another level. A friend of mine, actually, I haven't tried these yet. I actually tried them, but I haven't bought them yet. She just started selling them. But a very good friend of mine just started infusing frequency into MCT oil. And so I can put a link to her stuff here as well. So you can order her MCT oil frequency infused drops so that you can start to raise your frequency. One of the things that I do is I listen to high frequency music when I meditate on YouTube. Doing things like that. Jess and I have done a lot of plant medicine as well. I mean, plant medicine, you can't just get anywhere. You do have to do it in ceremony. You do have to do it with a shaman. You do have to do it with a lot of intention. But it is an avenue that both of us have taken in order to raise our frequency. And then it just also boils down to loving yourself so much and really speaking that love into your life. So there's a guy called Emoto Masuto or something like that, the Japanese guy with the water. And so we are vibratory beings, and we are mostly water. And what this Emoto, the Japanese scientist, did was he started to take pictures with a high-powered magnifying glass of water. And what he found was whenever you speak negative things over water, then the water looks really dingy and like separated. But when you speak love and joy and bliss and peace and all of these high vibrational words into the water, they look like diamonds that sparkle. And so your job is to honor and love yourself and really see yourself in your divinity. And sometimes it's hard to do whenever we've been told our whole entire life that we're sinners, that we're not worthy of approaching God, we're not this or we're not that, or, whatever it is. When we've spent a lifetime condemning ourselves, then it's hard sometimes to make that transition. But you must make that transition. You must begin to honor and love yourself and speak only good into yourself and into your cells, because by you doing that, you begin to change your cellular structure. You begin to rewrite your DNA. And we're starting to see people start to activate DNA that's been dormant in your body for many, many years. And so we're activating these inactive strands of DNA, starting to raise our frequency, and it's doing those certain things that's raising those frequencies and activating those strands of DNA. So that's what I do.
Beautiful. One thing that I did want to add is that things are going to show up in your life. You might be raising your vibration, and then all these things are coming up for you that are ready to be transcended, are ready to be acknowledged, are ready to be loved, are ready to be, whatever it is. So, because we can think like, okay, think good thoughts, but there's still stuff in us that needs to be seen, and it's accepting and loving all parts of us, which that is a huge practice for some, and I know that's become more and more my understanding of what is necessary. Because you can say, oh, I'm going to think happy thoughts and, oh, I love myself and da-da-da. But do you really love yourself? Do you really love yourself? And then when there's something that comes up and you can feel it in your body and you either get angry or upset or triggered or whatever it is, can you still love yourself and be like, okay, it's okay. I love you. You're safe. I accept you. You're part of me. I'm here. I'm listening. There's a lot of wisdom in our bodies. And one of the things that I've learned in my own studying is that our bodies are made of 100 trillion cells, and each cell is its own being, and each of those beings is consciousness. They're made out of the same things as stars. So our bodies have so much wisdom in them. So if you're noticing that there's sensations coming up for you or discomfort or whatever it is, so to be able to tune in and allow it a voice to speak. What is it saying? What does it need? What is it that you want to What is it you want to share with me? What is it that you want to need? And allow that part of you to be expressed and accepted and loved. Um, that is super, super, super important into tapping into our body's wisdom and consciousness, because this little thing up here makes up so little of our entire being, but
Oh
we've
yeah.
given it free reign and control and said, yeah, take over the kingdom, but it's not meant to. It's you know, there's still the head of the household, there's still the sovereign being within you
Mm-hmm.
that can allow and accept and understand all members of the court, all members, all everyone that's in your kingdom. All of them are accepted and loved, and yet you're still the king and queen inside that
Yeah.
like follows that. So I just wanted to share that because I know we've been through those processes of thinking positive, thinking happy thoughts, doing all that stuff, but we still weren't moving
Yeah.
because we weren't willing to look at the shadows. And looking at our shadows is every bit as important because it's every bit as part of us. And to Jen's point that the twin flame is a polar opposite of us, well, chances are they're showing us our shadows.
Yeah, they are.
Loving our shadows, how can we possibly love this incredible human being that we agreed to come on this planet with to do these things that we're here to do? It's one of the great, I think, the great mysteries and the great forgettings, you know. So that's what came up for me.
Yeah, there's a lot in the mind. We have we have lived our life from the mind, from the conscious mind, and we're having to move from that space to our heart and really to live in our heart space and to really embrace our feelings and emotions and what's coming up for us in that, because our energy body speaks so loudly we sometimes can't even hear it. And so we're missing so much when we're not listening to our energy body. And I think back, there are no regrets. I'm where I'm at today because I'm supposed to be here. And, I had this journey of the twin soul, and that's the whole purpose of the twin flame journey. Here's the whole purpose, you guys, is, just like what Jess was saying, moving from the head to the heart. The purpose is to make you move from the head to the heart. So you have this incredible connection to a twin flame. I mean, it's an incredible connection and it's unexplainable. You have sexual chemistry out of this world. You have connection that you can't describe. Like, you can't make sense of it. It doesn't make sense. It's like nothing you've felt before for anyone else, and it doesn't make any sense because you barely know the person too. It's like you haven't really spent a whole lot of time together, and then all of a sudden you're like, what is this? Like, I don't understand this. And so none of it is meant to make sense to us in the 3D, in the whole scheme of how things have always operated. But the point of the journey is to get you out of your head and get you into your heart, to get you into total surrender, to get you feeling, to get you emoting, to get you to go to those deep places that you've been so scared to go to. For me, I was scared to feel my emotions. I was scared to express them. I was scared to say the way that I felt about my twin to my twin. I was afraid of all of those things. And this journey has forced me, like unequivocally forced me to go to my heart, to go to my feelings, to go to those places that were the most scary for me to go to because those were so shut down. When I was little, I couldn't emote. I couldn't feel because I wasn't allowed to. I was only allowed to use my head. And I had to shut my heart down in order for me to feel like I could survive, because I'm very empathic and I was that way as a child, and I just didn't know how to handle it. And I didn't have people to guide me in that way. And so, so I learned those habits at a very young age. And then, whenever I get into this situation where my emotions are so triggered and I couldn't hardly handle it, and I'm forced to go inside, I'm forced to become whole, I'm forced to fall in love with myself. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for the journey. I'm so grateful that this person came into my life and showed me this without even knowing. He doesn't even know. He doesn't even know what he showed me. And yet I've been given the biggest gift I could have ever imagined being given by this person. And it's just like, I'm so, so grateful. And that's where you want to get. Like at first when you're on the journey and you're first figuring it out, you're mad and you're cursing him and you're like, get out of my life. I don't want this. And then whenever you make the transition, you go into total surrender and you open up your heart so big that you're like, oh my God, this is where I'm supposed to be. Then you begin to be so grateful for the journey. And it's not even about union. Like I'm not in union with my twin. I don't even know what's up with him. I haven't spoken to him in a while, but it doesn't matter. Like that's not my obsession anymore. It used to be my obsession, but it's not my obsession anymore. Now it's like, I'm totally good. I'm like, would I like for him to come back in? Yeah. But I'm also good where I'm at, I'm also good on my path and I'm super, super grateful. And I don't think I've ever been in this place before. So.
I know that from what I've seen, yeah, this is new for you. Do you want to share just really quickly about union?
Yeah, let's talk about union. So I say that union is the gift, not the goal. So union is whenever you're twin flame and you come together and you decide, like this is something you want to do. Like you are like, okay, we feel the same, let's do this. And so union comes after you go through the process of loving yourself. So I know of twin flames who they were already at a very spiritually awake place when they came together. So they never had to go through the separation aspect of it. So, and it's one of my friends and she told me it's highly triggering still. It's been highly triggering, but they haven't had to separate because they were already at a spiritual awoke journey. They were already spiritually awake when they met and came together. And so their journey's been a little bit different than mine has. Most people, when they meet their twin flame, they're not as awake yet. And so they do have to go through these processes of separation because you have to be shown the love and you have to be able to come to that love. So when you are at that place of love, when you have given up the codependency, when you have surrendered to the journey, when you have come to soul resonance within yourself, your work as one twin can help and do the work for the other twin, because remember, you're the same soul resonance. And so I'm constantly sending healing and loving energy to my twin. I don't even know what's up with him. I just constantly send healing and loving energy to him. And so that aspect has the ability to heal him because you're always connected and you're always connected in the 5D. So you can always send telepathic energy to this person because you're always connected in the 5D. And remember, you can't cut cords, so you're always connected etherically. So anyway, whenever you come to that place of wholeness, that's whenever union can happen, So I haven't gotten to union, so I'm not 100% sure how it all works. I'm just holding faith that it'll happen. And the other thing too, you guys, is that if it doesn't happen, I know that there's a soul on the planet for me that's going to join me. So I know that there's a partner for me because it is something that I desire, and it's something that I told the universe that I desire. And so one of the things that I've started to do is journal as if. I'm journaling as if my companion is already in my life. We're already sharing this amazing life. And so that's where you want to go. You want to get to that place where you're just like totally content being you. You totally love yourself. You don't know, and it doesn't matter what your twin is doing. Like, I think my twin is in a relationship with somebody else, and it's like, okay, if that's the experience that you want, then okay. And it's like allowing that experience to take place and not being jealous, because one of the things that I used to be would be jealous and be judgmental of that whole situation. And I've like surrendered and let go of the jealousy. And I don't purposely hurt myself either. Like, I don't go to his social media and see what's going on. I don't even want to know. So I'm like, don't tell me, like I'd rather just be in the not know. And by being in the not know, it gives me the freedom to really cultivate what I want. And so I can go into a place of faith and journal what it is that I'm calling in and just maintain that faith. So I think that that's really key. Letting go of the jealousy, letting go of like obsessively stalking that person on social media or trying to figure out what's going on in their life. You got to let go of all that stuff and you got to just be you.
Yeah, it all begins with you.
It does.
It all begins with you. It all starts with you, and ultimately it all ends with you. And that's the other thing is that like our body has been with us every breath, has been with us since the very, very beginning. And so thinking about that you are a complete person because you came into this world complete and
Yeah.
you will leave this world complete. Um, and that our soul speaks through our heart. That's how it communicates. That's why our heart will continue to beat as long as it takes for our soul to complete what it's here to do and not a moment before. So it's really lovely. The journey begins with us and it begins with what we do for ourselves. And to Jen's point, it really doesn't matter what anyone else is doing, going through, because like we're on our soul path and our soul journey, but to bring together the divine masculine and feminine within ourself, like that is the true union. And then like Jen said, having the complete person, the complete being with a complete being, like that's where you can amplify exponentially.
Yeah.
It's not, if there's a part of you that's not whole, then you're taking some of the energy from someone else to make that. But when you're both coming at it as powerful beings are in union with themselves and then you come together, then it's just magical.
Yeah.
Um,
That's the magic of the twin flame journey.
yeah, but it
That's
starts.
the ultimate, yeah, the ultimate soulmate, the ultimate relationship experience. When you can come into union, it is the ultimate relationship experience, from what I understand. The
Yeah,
sex is off the charts, the connection is off the charts, you're best friends, you're you're usually in mission together. It's usually a very fulfilling relationship on every level. Whereas most relationships aren't fulfilled on every level. You have people that have really beautiful relationships, and they go their separate ways every day and they kind of like do their own thing. But this is the ultimate relationship.
so guess we shall see how our journeys continue to unfold.
Yeah.
Jen, is there anything else you wanted to share about it?
No, I think I'm complete.
Okay. I did want to just do a quick blessing.
Yeah.
Um, so for everyone to just kind of close their eyes for a moment. Oh, you beautiful souls, how we love and enjoy you all, how you step in faith and full force into everything, no matter what, no matter the course. And we say, we honor you, your path, your mission. And please understand in this transmission that you have such a gift to bring to this planet. And it does not matter whether you know it yet or not, it is still within you to be activated, to be venerated, to be emanated, to be expressed in the fullest way possible within you. I know that yes, 1+1 = 2. However, it's the 1+1 within you, the 1+1 within you that becomes the fullness and breadth of all that is possible, the cosmos that exists within you. It is a journey of the most brave souls that come here knowing that their fortunes are yet to be told, that they have some kind of recognition of what might be or what might be to come in this real little resonance, like a faraway song. And so you're listening and tuning and moving each step closer and closer, and with each breath, thinking and wondering and praying and hoping that maybe this time, you're getting closer to the knowing of what this song is, of your heart and in your soul from the start, yet it feels like you are still pulled apart and wondering where, where, where in this heart is this song? Where does it exist? How can I find it? What is amiss? But to trust and follow this little melody that will remind you that you can set yourself free. And when there is another soul that speaks that same song as you will know it in your hearts. 1+1 is to infinity, the infinity and the beyond. that there is something within this resonance and song. It takes such faith and trust and loyalty too, because there is so much more to do that is beyond just you, that it is the imperative of the divine, of the paradigm shifting of what is coming in time for you all to step forth in the fullness of who you are, to remember above all that you are of the stars, and joining in and coming into union within one, within all, within two, within soul and song and ecstasy for all. Allow and celebrate the journeys, and every time you see another union, say yes and say yes and yes, for me too. I see that that is possible. Yes, rather than having judgment or saying how long will this last. That is not the resonance and the interpretation and the energy and the emanation of what is in the truest vibration of your souls. But to see what is going on around you and celebrate it all, celebrate all the successes of all who are around you, rather than saying, how did they get that? Why? I want that too. Instead, celebrate and honor and say, yes, yes, I see you. I honor your path, and I say, I can't wait to be there too. And it's okay for knowing that your paths are on different wavelengths, on different courses, on different flavors, on different horses, that there's a different speed and track and energy abound. But yes, you will absolutely get what you've come here. It will be found. You will find that which is in you that seeks. It is just a matter of time. Don't worry about trying to take a peek, but staying in the resonance and in the faith of the unknown, that what is in your heart has already been foretold, and it will be, and so it is.
And so it is. Aho.
Oh, great. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Jen.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. I celebrate you. I celebrate you and your journey and your path, and I know you're so close to getting exactly to where you're at, but you're at the perfect place even now.
Yeah.
And I honor it and I celebrate you always and forever.
Thank you. You too, love. We have both journeyed very far together in this lifetime. It's
Yeah.
been an amazing journey.
Yes. So we're here for you guys. We're here to share. Obviously, we have no problem being vulnerable and showing how much that we care. We really, really do care for the ascension of us all.
Mhm.
It really is taking the collective to heal it to where we need to go to next. So reach out. Let
Yeah,
us
let
know
us
what to
know. We
talk
love you
about.
guys. Yeah.
What questions do you have? Do you want follow-up Q&As? Like whatever it is, like we're totally committed and devoted to our paths and also honoring the journeys of all of you. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Until next time, you guys.
Yes. Bye.